Am I the only one who gets this excited about something like that? Hey, it's Brock here with Rock Hill Aquatics, and today we're going to be doing an update on the 110-gallon Discus tank. Now from this shot right here, looking at it the way you are, you're probably thinking, that's a nasty, dirty tank. But I consider this tank right now to be an absolute masterpiece. And don't let the algae on the outside confuse you about what's happening here. And when I started this tank up, I said I'm going to keep Discus in a natural aquarium and prove that you can do it without doing a lot of water changes. And I got a lot of negativity on that, and to be honest, I was kind of kicking a hornet's nest, trying to bring up the conversation. And this is an aquarium I still get a lot of questions on. So what we're going to do today is some basic maintenance, clean it up so you can see through the glass or the acrylic, and then give you an update on these fish. Now, what I will say is these fish are happy and healthy, and they're always right up at the front waiting to be fed. They have beautiful colorations on them, but some of the Discus purists are going to say that I'm doing a disservice to these fish because they're not growing as fast because I'm not doing the water changes. It is what it is. I'm not trying to grow some record-setting prize Discus. And the colorations and the pure strains and all of the things that people want in the Discus community are not how those fish look in nature. So I think these are happy, healthy fish, and I think that this aquarium is an absolute work of art. I could not love this any more than I do. And I've had it work on so many fish species in the past. I thought it would work on this, and it is. Oh my gosh, this is just gorgeous. I want to clean this tank up, but first I just have to show you guys this. Am I the only one who gets this excited about something like that? So before I clean it up, we've got all this moss growing in here. And it's growing all over the place, and that's natural. I mean, if this was a pond, it might have moss in it, especially it's only been set up for 5 months. But look at all these plants. So these plants right here, I didn't plant any of these. I put like 4 little sprigs of this up here, and it has just carpeted every bit of this. And all of this, I only planted 2 pieces of that. It's just going everywhere. But all of this is the part that Discus keepers say won't work. See that mulm and filth building up on top of the sand? And all of this, you can see the roots coming down in here. And you've got all this green and you've got that rust color. You can see the soil underneath the sand back here. To me, this is a work of art. And when I say this is a work of art, I'm not the artist. Nature is the artist. Our creator is the artist. This is beautiful. And my job is not to create this. My job is to not screw it up. So here are these beautiful little bitty Discus that I have. They have gotten a lot bigger. I got these when they were tiny. And I've lost 2, I believe. I showed you guys 1 that I lost, and I think I might have lost 1 more. But you're just not going to see them very well until I clean this up. So what I need to do right now is pull out maybe 30% of the water and do a water change, and then while I'm in there, I'll clean all this up. Just to clarify my thoughts on this water change, the way I talked about it originally may not have been that clear because people took it to mean that I was never going to do water changes. And I did not say I would never do water changes. I said that people exaggerate and make too big a deal about the water change requirements on these fish. And my decision, after giving it some thought, after that video came out, was to do 1 water change a month. And I did that for 3 months, and then I missed one. It has now been 7 weeks since there was a water change on this aquarium. All the fish are doing great. I've got a few neon tetras in there. I've got albino corridoras in there. I almost forgot to tell you guys, I got the coolest fish in here I just added yesterday. This is a fish that I've always wanted. It's a great tank mate for these other fish. It was an expensive fish, and I've never been able to have one before, and hopefully it's still in there. We're getting ready to find out. Now the first thing I want to show you is we've got all this moss and algae that's made a sheet on the top. I don't want any of this. What I want is this beautiful water lettuce like I have on this other tank. So if you can see in there, all this water lettuce this is big water lettuce pieces. Huge, like the size of my hand. So I'm gonna take all that moss out and those other floating plants. All of this is getting pitched and it's being replaced by that water lettuce. So this is the first thing to go. All of that plants needs out. All right, there's a lot of glass scraping and pulling out individual pieces of moss and stuff. So I'm just gonna get all that done off camera and be back in a minute. One thing I can tell you for sure is that this acrylic is a lot harder to get algae off of. It really is a pain because you cannot use a regular scrubber that you would use on any other aquarium. If you do, it'll scratch it. So you have to use these special scrubbers, and they're just not very good at removing material. Now we have this gigantic, beautiful water lettuce. Isn't that phenomenal? And start filling this thing up with that and let it grow back in the other tank. Got more of those giant plants here. We're just gonna load this sucker up. And that is gonna eat nitrates like nothing else. Oh yeah, beautiful stuff. Just look at that. That is how you keep your water clean. Now, as much as I love those plants, whenever you disturb those long root systems, they throw a bunch of detritus into the water. And I did all that scraping of the glass, and I cleaned the filter. This is going to look dirty for a while. But that doesn't mean that is what the water quality is like for the fish. That's just the appearance of it. A lot of times in nature, these discus will be in dirty looking water, but it's chemically clean. And that's what we're gonna get with this as well. So I finished up about an hour ago, and the water is still cloudy, but personally, I think we need to redefine what a healthy, beautiful aquarium looks like, because I think this is the target we should all be shooting for. This acrylic is all scratched up, and that fish didn't like the camera coming right up to it. So no matter what I do, I'm never gonna get good photography of this aquarium. So I bought this tank super cheap and it was scratched bad and I couldn't get those scratches out. Look at those plants just carpeting the whole bottom of the tank. How many of you have bought a couple pieces of this before and thought, well, maybe it'll carpet? That's what it's supposed to do. All of this coming up to the top. My plants from the bottom are coming up and meeting the plants on the top. And this is not a short aquarium. This is a tall aquarium. And that is a good looking fish. We got the cories back there that are active. Some of these plants were suffering a little bit based on the fact that light was not getting to them because there was so much moss. Like this plant right here, it's got some yellowing up here. I think that was primarily just because it had all that moss growing on top of it. That hair algae, whatever we had. There's more cories, more cories. Just dropped a little food in there for them, just flake food. They'll eat this flake food really well. They also do pretty well with frozen brine shrimp or a variety of different foods. I'm currently using Ocean Nutrition Cichlid Omni Flakes. So here we are 24 hours later. There are 6 discus in here. I thought maybe I had lost one because I hadn't seen them all at once in a while. But those are beautiful fish. Absolutely gorgeous. And back here on the back wall is that royal pleco. Kind of hard to see in the corner just because of where he's at. But look at that guy. Absolutely love it. So now we can see we've got these really nice sword plants back here. We've got this rock ledge. We've got all this aquatic lilies. Beautiful plant. I put just one little clump of them. They're spreading all the way across the bottom. Same thing with all the other plants in here. We got that sword plant. It is blown up. It's 3 times as big as it was. This Anubias and Java fern is on the driftwood there. We've got more sword plants. We've got Vallisneria in the back. We've got this Vallisneria in the front. We got all this dwarf Sagittaria here in the front, and it's just spreading like crazy. The plants are thriving. And then we've got this beautiful, beautiful water lettuce on the top. And the fact that the plants are thriving is why I don't need to do more frequent water changes. Obviously, the nitrogen cycle turns ammonia into nitrate, and then we're left with nitrate that is plant food, and the plants suck out that nitrate. Now, eventually you do run into a problem with total dissolved solids, and you have to do something about the total dissolved solids. So that's what the water changes are for. And about once a month is enough, I think, to deal with the total dissolved solids. We've got all these little cories in here, bunch of albino cories. And there are a couple more plecos in here. I think there's a super red and an albino, and then we've got the royal pleco. And it's not like I'm under filtering this. I've got my sump down here that's doing its job. And then I have a hang on the back filter here. So I want to know what you guys think about this aquarium. I love this aquarium. I love this hobby. I love you guys telling me what you think. So I appreciate you taking time to watch. I'll put links on the screen to a couple more of our videos, and I'll see you next time.